You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business maybe, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Jim. I'm your host. You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country. And today we're going to be talking about the trending topics in international relocation for 2025. If you haven't been to our website yet, you definitely have to check it out. www.sdcinternationalshipping.com. Just a treasure trove of up-to-date information. We're updating it and adding to it just about on a daily basis now. And you can get all of the updated information there on moving to just about any country that you can think of. We also have little satellite websites, I guess you can call them, geolocation sites. We have one for the UK, one for Spain, and one for Australia. I'll give you some information on those too as we go along. These are specialized sites because these particular moves are so popular, it just made sense to create a website dedicated to those three specific locations. Well, actually, I might as well give you the URLs for those right now. If you're thinking about moving to the UK, you're going to want to check out our UK website. That's located at movefromusa2uk.com. That is movefromusa2uk.com. Our Spain website is located at movertospain.com. That's www.movertospain.com. That's us at SDC International Shipping, of course. And then we have Movers to Australia as the URL for our Australian website. That is movers with an S to Australia.com. We'll talk a little bit about those locations later on. But in today's episode, I want to talk about some of the hottest, more popular topics in the international moving space for 2025. There are several trends that are making their way into the news and on platforms like X. Everything from economic pressures to digital nomad visas to eco-friendly moving. Plus, we'll also take a look into one of these trends, the digital nomad visas and global talent mobility that's opening doors for remote workers worldwide. And stick around because we'll also talk about look-see trips, a fantastic tool to help you settle into your new home abroad. So get comfortable and let's just dive into today's episode. Now, moving internationally is more than just packing up and crossing borders. Of course, you know that, especially if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time. It's about a whole lot of things: new beginnings, embracing a different culture, and sometimes completely reimagining your life. At SDC International Shipping, we know this because we help people move to every corner of the world: Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, you name it, Central America. And in 2025, the relocation landscape is shifting quickly. Economic changes, new visa options, and even the push for sustainability are now reshaping how and why people move. So today we're breaking down 7 trending topics that are dominating conversations and headlines in this area. So whether you're relocating for a job, a lifestyle change, or just an adventure, these insights will help you plan smarter. But before we jump in, let me just remind you that SDC International Shipping is your go-to for seamless moves anywhere in the world, from New York to Nairobi, London to Lima. We handle your furniture, vehicles, and even your most sentimental items with the utmost care and precision. You can visit sdcinternationalshipping.com or call us at 877-339-0267. That's 877-339-0267 for a free quote. Okay, let's talk about the first trend. First, let's talk about money. Economic pressures are a big topic right now, all throughout the world. Inflation skyrocketing, housing costs. These are the things that are making people think twice about relocating, whether it's across the country or across the world. And a recent survey found that nearly 80% of Americans are hesitant to move due to financial concerns. Things like saving for deposits, covering visa fees, or adjusting to higher living costs in places like a Singapore or a London. It's a lot to consider, but here's the good news. These pressures are also inspiring some creative solutions. Some people are choosing destinations with lower costs of living, places like Portugal, Mexico, or Malaysia, where your budget goes further. Others are downsizing their belongings to save on the shipping costs. And at SDC, we understand this. We've seen clients, really be creative, get smart about this, opting to consolidate shipping or cut costs or selling items they really don't need. No matter where you're heading, Europe, Asia, South America, or beyond, we can help you move affordably. So here's a tip. Start by budgeting for the big stuff: visas, flights, shipping. And then talk to us at SDC. We offer cost-effective options for moves to any country. We can be talking about, Canada to Costa Rica. Again, that number 877-339-0267. You can speak with a relocation specialist or visit the website at sdcinternationalshipping.com and learn about how you can save money. There really are no two moves that are the same. Every move is distinct. Every move, of course, there's things in common, the basic furniture and everything like that. But everything else is particular to your life, your lifestyle, your goals, your objectives. And so, yes, economic pressures are real, but they're not stopping everyone, and they do not have to stop you. That some are moving for new opportunities, and in fact, new opportunities. That brings us to the next topic that is really hot right now, and that is the digital nomad visas and global talent mobility. Okay, this can be a game changer for some people. Digital nomad visas and global talent mobility. If you're a remote worker, if you're a freelancer, or you're an entrepreneur, this one is for you. Right now, over 50 countries offer digital nomad visas. Think Spain, Thailand, Costa Rica, even Iceland. I had a friend of mine that went on a vacation to Iceland recently, over the last, I think it was about 2 years ago. Really enjoyed the trip, really enjoyed the people there. And I wasn't really familiar with Iceland until they had an economic meltdown several years ago, and they were in the news quite a bit since then. But that country's changed quite a bit, and those changes have been for the better. Now, the beautiful thing about these visas to these different locations is they allow you to work in a country for 6 months to 2 years, depending on the country, without needing a traditional work visa. And what this is doing is it's beginning to change how people relocate and work worldwide. Why is this such a big deal? Well, remote work has freed people from the office, and countries are rolling out the welcoming mat to attract skilled professionals. So, for example, Spain's digital nomad visa requires that you earn about $2,600 a month for or from a remote job, or freelance clients outside of the country. And so if you're here in the United States listening to this, I know that this is something that will fit into more individual circumstances than in the past. So I know going back to 2020, when everything began to shut down and more people began working from home, that yes, some people have since that time returned to the office. They made a big deal about that as far as government jobs go. A lot of the buildings had been empty since 2020, but now a lot of those jobs are disappearing. I know in the tech sector, it's a mixed bag a little bit when it comes to that. Some of the companies are requiring people to come back to work. But then again, there are a lot of companies that prefer hiring freelancers and paying them because they don't have to supply healthcare or anything like that as far as how the payment structure is set up. And so there are freelancers throughout the world. Some of those freelancers develop their businesses and they begin hiring other freelancers to work for them. So remote work is basically here to stay, and it's becoming more and more popular. Works great in certain types of companies, with certain types of companies, and maybe not so much with some others where oversight is a little more important. But again, $2,600 a month is not a lot of money to be able to secure a digital nomad visa in a country like Spain. So if you're only making $2,600 a year here in the United States as a freelancer, that's really not very much money, especially if you're single and paying all of the bills yourself. You probably need more money than that. But in a lot of cases, we have two-income households. And so if you have both individuals freelancing or both working remotely or able to work remotely, then you're talking about a very interesting situation where doors will be open to you that have been otherwise closed in the past. So, you have the opportunity to live in a city like Barcelona or Madrid, or if you prefer a coastal town like Valencia. We can look at places like Portugal, Estonia, Barbados. They all have similar programs right now, each with its own perks and requirements. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Things like taxes can get a little bit complicated. Some countries require a tax on your global income. Others don't. Reliable internet, it's not always a given. Recently, there was a post on X from a digital nomad in Bali who said spotty Wi-Fi was their biggest challenge. And then there's, of course, the logistics of moving your stuff. Your laptop might be portable, but, of course, your furniture, your books, your kitchen gear, all of that. And that, of course, that's where STC International Shipping would come in. STC moves people, again, anywhere in the world. If you're a digital nomad, you're thinking about Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, wherever, Australia, you name it. STC International Shipping will help you get there. Now, if you're thinking about going to the UK, again, you can check out our brand new website at movefromusa2uk.com. The toll-free number for that site is 888-909-3020. Again, if you're thinking about moving to the UK, you can check out our new website, movefromusa2uk.com, or call 888-909-3020. If you're thinking about Spain, movertospain.com, or you can call that site 844-651-7050. That's 844-651-7050 if you're considering moving to Spain, or our Australian website, Movers to Australia, 877-856-7050. That's 877-856-7050. So if you're thinking about the digital nomad visa, maybe you're already living remotely in another country and you're listening to this, we'd really be interested to hear your story. You can reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Again, our main website is at stcinternationalshipping.com. I have interviewed people when we first started this podcast who were living in Mexico. I've talked to people living in Spain. Basically, I've talked to people living from all over. A lot of people were shy about actually coming on the podcast and having everything recorded, talking about it. I understand that, but if you're the type of person that enjoys that or wants to share, there's an audience here that can benefit from your experience. So, but again, the trend of international relocation, the digital nomad lifestyle, is becoming very, very big, very, very quickly. The idea of having the freedom to live where you want, work how you want. Now, of course, not everyone's a digital nomad. Some people have other motivations for relocating internationally. And one of the other topics that's been getting a lot of publicity lately has to do with high net worth individuals who are relocating. Again, high net worth individuals. The high net worth crowd in 2025 is an estimated 142,000 wealthy individuals, millionaires, and billionaires and the like are expected to be relocating this year. Why? Well, number one, tax benefits. Number two, political stability. And number three, better lifestyles. Countries like Switzerland with its lump sum taxation, or Italy with a flat 7% tax rate for retirees, have become top destinations for high net worth individuals. But this isn't just for the ultra rich, though. It's a reminder that strategic relocation can benefit anyone looking to optimize their finances. So moving to a country with lower tax rates, no capital gains tax, can be a smart move. But relocating wealth means moving assets, and that's where things can get a little bit tricky. Now at SDC International Shipping, we've helped clients move everywhere and move everything from art collections, boats, to every corner of the world, Europe, Middle East, Asia, you name it. So if you're moving high value items, again, give SDC International Shipping a call. And moving on, let's talk about, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this because it can be part of a financial strategy, relocating, not just for lifestyle, but the challenges of international vehicle relocation. Just talking about that, where they're talking about cars or trucks or anything like that. This is something that hits close to home for a lot of people, especially motorcycles, believe it or not. A lot of people are, for whatever reason, I'm not a motorcycle fan myself, but I've seen a lot of people online on our YouTube channels talking about wanting to take their motorcycle with them or their vehicle. But especially the motorcycle, it seems like individuals have more of a sentimental value, more individuals, for that type of thing than even for cars. But it's not, a simple type of thing that, you just sign on the line and your car is pulled into a shipping container or your motorcycle. Vehicle relocation has always been a hot topic. This year is no different, but it's really complex because of customs regulations. Honestly, there are certain places that it's just not worth shipping a vehicle to. The first place that comes to mind is the Philippines. This is one of the first topics that we talked about when we started this podcast episode and we started our YouTube channel. A lot of people were, at the time, this is a few years ago, talking about moving to the Philippines and wanting to take a car with them. And one of the things that you can do, actually, if you want more information about this, besides just going to our YouTube channel where we talk quite a bit about it, you can just type in the topic and it will pull up videos. But you can use an AI like a perplexity.com or ChatGPT, and you can put in the make and model and year of your vehicle and ask approximately how much it would cost to move that vehicle to the country of your choice. And most of you will be shocked by the answers that you get, and you'll find that it's really not worth moving a vehicle. Now, there are a few exceptions. If you're a diplomat, then those rules don't apply to you. And so that eliminates not too many people, right? I mean, most people aren't diplomats. It's a very small crowd. But otherwise, the idea is pretty simple. Those countries want you to purchase a vehicle in their country. They don't want you moving a vehicle that you purchased somewhere else into their country. And their laws reflect that. So it can be the equivalent of buying that vehicle over again twice. That could be the cost of moving it into the country. Some people, especially when it came to motorcycles, were getting very creative with ideas about how they could possibly sneak it in. Believe me, that is something that you don't want to do. And of course, SDC International Shipping, that would be impossible. We would never even consider going against customs or doing anything like that. And you shouldn't either, because something like that can wind up in a worst case scenario where you're in another country, you can find yourself in jail. If you've thought about it, people at customs have thought about it. So, sometimes on TV where you see these movies, they're sneaking things in containers to other countries. Believe me, you don't want to do that. Okay. Australia. Let's talk about Australia when it comes to vehicle relocation. They have the strictest biosecurity rules in the world, which means that if you do decide, and you can move a car there, the car better be spotless. I mean, even if there's dirt on it or they find dirt somewhere, again, the rules are so strict there, it can result in a lot of problems. Moving to the UK, you have to modify your vehicle to meet local standards, like adjusting the headlights. I read a story about an expat who spent weeks sorting out paperwork just to ship their classic Mustang to Germany. And the takeaway was, you got to work with. Now, of course, that's understandable. If you have a classic car or something like that, it goes into a different category. But the takeaway here is that you want to work with professionals who understand the ins and outs of that type of move. That's what you get when you work with a company like SDC International Shipping. We know the rules. We know how customs works in each of the countries. And no matter where you're going to work with a relocation specialist who understands the ins and outs of each country. So I had mentioned the biosecurity rules, which kind of phases into the next topic that people have been talking quite a bit about, and that's sustainable and eco-friendly international moving. Sustainability has been a buzzword now for several years, and it's made its way into international moving also. And companies are going green by using eco-friendly packing materials, biodegradable boxes, optimizing shipments to reduce carbon emissions. Consolidated shipping is a great idea for many reasons, and that's when your belongings share container space with others, cutting down on things like fuel use. Why does it matter? Well, moving across the world can leave a big environmental footprint. Matter of fact, a lot of things do. I understand everybody does their point, but somebody had mentioned the other day about all of the volcanoes that have erupted since the beginning of the year at different places throughout the world and what that does to the atmosphere. So, when you look at sustainability and just the emissions that are released from something like a volcano eruption, which is just an incredible amount. Sometimes it looks like you're fighting an uphill battle where it's 6 of one and half a dozen of another. But like anything else, it doesn't hurt to do your part, right? I know when I was a kid, we didn't think anything of throwing a empty McDonald's cup out a window on an empty road. This is when I lived back up in New Jersey. This is a long time ago. And back then, people weren't talking about littering or polluting as much as today. There was talk about it then, and then, I became aware of it and thought, well, that was just lazy, throwing an empty cup out the window, and why'd you do that? And you could have just thrown it out when you got to your destination. So some things are just a matter of learning, especially when you're younger, becoming a little more responsible and doing your part. I guess that's maybe the key to all of it. If everybody does their best to do the right things, we're living in a different world, right? And we'd be living in a better one. So, yeah, whether you're moving from South Africa to Sweden, Bali to Brazil, again, SDC has the options that you can choose from. You don't have to buy or spend more money than is necessary. Again, every individual move is going to be different. They'll put together a package that's a good fit for you. And just remember, one of the things that I always tell people when it comes to making an international move, if somebody gives you a quote without actually getting eyes on what it is that you're moving, when it actually comes time to sign the paperwork, a reputable international moving company is going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to see exactly what it is that they're moving. And so wherever you are in the world, SDC International Shipping we have the apps that are available where we can chat with you live. You can show us different items. Maybe something needs custom crating, or there's some extra fragile items that you have concerns about. All of that goes into the pricing. So you can go anywhere online and get a low ball price from a company, but until they actually see what it is that you have, you can wind up paying more on the back end than you thought you were going to have to pay. With SDC, there are no hidden fees or costs or anything like that. Everything is upfront. You're going to know how much it's going to cost, and we're going to get eyes on what it is that you're moving so that you can get a real, true, accurate bid for your international relocation. Okay, let's talk a little bit about navigating immigration and the visa hurdles. If you've been on X lately, which I spend quite a bit of time on it, people are talking about, one of the things I like about that particular, I guess you just call it a social media platform, right? They have what's going on in the news, not just in politics. A lot of times when people talk about X, you think, well, we're talking about politics, Elon Musk, and that kind of thing. But really, just about every topic under the sun is there and what's happening in it. And years ago, when it was called Twitter, it became the number one place for reporters to breaking news. But it wasn't just, again, in politics, it was about every topic you can think of. And that includes what's going on in our world of relocation. You can find out what people are talking about. You can find about expats, what's going on in different places of the world. Every phone has a camera in it, just about today, right? So you're seeing videos of things that you can't find anywhere else. And so getting back to our topic of immigration and visa hurdles, moving internationally, and if you've been on X like I just mentioned, they are tightening visa rules. H-1B restrictions in the U.S., stricter policies in Europe, lifetime bans for overstays. All of these things are playing out now as I'm making this recording. And so moving internationally means navigating a maze of paperwork. One misstep can delay or even derail your plans completely. Some countries require proof of income, proof of health insurance, criminal background checks. It's not enough just to say, I don't have a record. You have to prove that you don't have a record, which means you have to have the paperwork stating that you haven't been arrested, or if you were arrested, what you were arrested for, what the outcome of that was. And these processes can take months. So the key here is to start early and consider a professional to help you with the complex cases. Now at SDC, we don't handle visas directly, but we make sure your belongings arrive safely while you tackle the legal stuff. However, you will be working with an experienced relocation specialist, and so they will guide you and point you in the right direction so you can get those things taken care of. And the key here is to start early. Start early, don't wait to the last minute. That way, if something takes longer than it normally does, you're not in a situation where you're going to be under all kinds of stress. But immigration hurdles can be tough. They're just one part of the journey, and well, that's just part of the whole overall experience. You do it, you get past it, and then you enjoy the benefits on the other side. So let's talk about cultural adaptation, because that, again, it was one of the topics that is very popular right now, along with expat support services, including something called look-see trips. So when we talk about settling into a new life abroad, this is important because moving isn't just about getting your stuff to your new address. It's about feeling at home in another culture. Culture shock is real, whether it's navigating a new language, new social norms, or just missing your favorite coffee shop. That's why relocation services are stepping up with support like spousal job assistance or something called look-see trips. So let's talk a little bit about those because they're a fantastic tool for anyone that's moving abroad. What is a look-see trip? It's a short trip to your destination country before you move, and it's designed to help you get a feel for your new home. Think about it like a test drive for your new life. And these trips typically last a few days to a week, and they're often organized by companies, employers. You know, you might tour neighborhoods to find the perfect apartment. You might visit schools for your kids or check out the local amenities like grocery stores, gyms. Some look-see trips, and you can look this up online, look-see trips even include cultural orientation sessions to help you understand local customs, how to greet neighbors in Japan, or what to expect at a business meeting in the UK or in Asia somewhere. And so let's say you're moving to Singapore. A look-see trip might include a guided tour of an expat-friendly neighborhood, meeting with real estate agents, and visiting an international school. And you get a sense of the cost of living, public transportation, even the vibe of the area, the town or the city. For families, these trips can be lifesavers because the spouses and the kids can see where they'll live, and that makes the transition a lot smoother. And some companies even cover the cost if you're relocating for work. But if you're planning to do it yourself, you can do that too. And, expect a budget for flights, hotels, and a local guide. So why are the look-see trips trending? Well, because they reduce the stress of moving blind. And this is one of the other topics that has been very popular on X lately. One expat said they had a look-see trip to New Zealand, and it helped them choose a quieter suburb over a bustling city center, and it made all the difference. Now, at SDC International Shipping, we don't organize look-see trips directly, but you can find them online. You can do a search. Just put in look-see trip to and put in your destination there. So it really helps to be connected with the right people. And going on a trip like this can connect you with people that will be waiting for you before you get there. Now, this is something that didn't really have a label to it in the past, but this is something that people have done over the years when it comes to relocating, even here within the United States. You maybe vacation in a certain area and you decide this is a place that I would like to live, and you go there several times and you become familiar with it, so it's not completely foreign. It's not like a company relocates you with a job to another city and it's basically a blind type of move. Not completely blind, because they help you get acclimated, and they have, if you're moving there with a larger corporation, they have built-in services most of the time. Other times, especially with the younger couples or families, they're just looking for a little bit of financial relief. Maybe they heard about a certain city in a certain state, and you go there for a week and you see it for yourself, what it's like to live there, what the local area, how the layout is. Does it accommodate your particular lifestyle or not? Okay, let's see here. I think that covers just about everything I wanted to cover today. I probably went a little bit longer than I intended to, but I hope you really benefited from the information. A lot of things are changing in 2025. A lot of things have changed just overall over the last several years. Things are up in the air. We don't really know where the economy will be. There are signs that it is heading in the right direction, and so that is a good thing. Of course, there's always going to be people that will say the reverse of that, but I guess it depends on your individual circumstances. But we've talked about things like economic pressures, digital nomad visas, how the wealthy are relocating, vehicle shipping and eco-friendly moves, the hurdles that come with visas, and finally the adapting to a new place culturally in 2025. These are some of the trends that we see right now happening in the world of international moving. So I hope that if you are thinking about moving, I hope that you have some inspiration powering those thoughts, whether you're thinking about going to Europe or Asia, Africa, wherever you are intending to go. There's a whole big world out there with brand new experiences that you've never had before. So it is a very exciting topic. And if you want to talk directly with us, again, we are SDC International Shipping. Our main website is at sdcinternationalshipping.com. You can call our main number, 877-339-0267. That's also at the website. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to help you out on your next big move. So this is Jim. That will do it for today. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Until the next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.